I have just bought a new microphone and it's proven quite tricky to set up properly. I've tried everything under the sun. I think maybe it's a faulty piece of hardware that I've just purchased from eBay. Either faulty or shoddy. Doesn't look shoddy and it wasn't too cheap, so I hope not. Anyway, this is a bit of a test stream again because there seems to be some background audio and I don't know what the recording is going to be like with this new microphone. I've tried some test recordings and they don't sound great. They sound possibly a little bit better than before, but I'll need to be buying some more equipment still to improve any noticeable amount. Anyway, I've been wanting to come back to this coding video which we left off with some problems still. Specifically the collision wasn't working unless we were moving at the time, which I'm not too worried about, and the score showing up invalid characters. Let's see what we mean by that. Right, so when I collect it, you'll see the score will go up, but it won't go up by 1. It's gone up to A, which is 10, and C. So there seems to be no rhyme nor reason not. So I'm going to pause that a sec because I want to know where not is in the spectrum character set, so I'm going to look that up. I could have done this all while not on stream, but really what would you learn if you were following along? If I just come back and say here's the fixed version, it's not very interesting in my opinion. Let me know if I'm wrong. I'd rather see the process. Here's the character. Oh well, you can't see it, can you? Do you know what? I'm going to add a feature so we can see web pages. We'll do it right now. Right. So now we can see web pages. And here is the character set. If you can read that. There we go. So hexadecimal 30 is 0, as I've already shown you. And obviously very trivial to go from there up to 9, which is just 9. So you can add 1 decimal value to it and it will still reach there. We're hitting A straight away. So if somehow we're going from there to there, and after that it was C, which seems very odd. Could even be this C, whatever that is. I don't even know what that is. Oh, that's the user defined graphics, so it's not that. And then after that it's going to not, which is going to be one of these here. So there seems absolutely no rhyme nor reason here. I was hoping we'd instantly see a pattern excuse me, and we would then obviously be able to work out what we'd done wrong without even looking at the code, but that's not going to be the case. With that said, okay, let's go back to our oh, I apologise. That's the next Retro Port Wars spoiled. I thought I'd already fixed it so that the whoops. I thought I'd already fixed it so that the score wasn't coming through backwards as well, because that's supposed to be on the right, the one that's getting adjusted. Just try compiling that one. If you don't know what I'm doing here, go back, check out my other videos. Most of the early ones explain how to compile. Not TT. Right, so I'm hoping this final score will now go up, because I thought I'd changed that, and it has. Okay, so the only thing we're doing wrong is the calculation, converting it back to ASCII, and I took a few shortcuts at the end of the video as well last time, so it's all to do with this. And I think in fact I tried to save a load there. Let's try load a score underscore 1 just above the add ASCII, because obviously I'm guessing this, well, I'm guaranteed, I can see there that I've destroyed A. Yeah, this is going to fix it. Like we said last video, this could no doubt be optimized. It jumps down here and returns out. We load A a lot of times, like perhaps if you really needed to optimize it, you could maybe find a better way of not having to load A quite so many times to achieve the same thing. But I'm quite confident this is going to work, so I'm going to change them all. If it turns out it doesn't work, I can always change it back. This side is okay because we don't enter into any other operations or functions that destroy A. So I think we should see the score going up by 1 each time now when we collect our burgers. I wish I did this before the end of the lesson now. Oh no, it hasn't gone it hasn't gone up by 1. Okay. Oh. In that case, we'll have to do a little bit more logical. We have to read through it line by line, check it logically. It's extremely possible. Well, I think I've just found a separate bug because that's not going to equal 10 anyway. That's going to equal 10 plus hexadecimal 30, isn't it? So we need to offset rather than have it. We want these to be 0 and then to add an offset. Just give me a moment, I'm going to just do something quickly and have a think about this. I'll be a couple of minutes. Okay, I'm back. Sorry about keeping you waiting there. Just making sure that I'm just reading through my work and example that I did the other day, which is very similar to this, but for some reason my other one works and this one doesn't. Hmm. The problem lies with me trying to take shortcuts yesterday in the loading, because in the loading of A, well, or trying to reduce the number of loads, because the logic's almost the same now as the working one. I'm trying to spot the difference. Okay, not load there. Like I just added this morning. I hope you didn't copy me do that. Reduce all those. Let's try that. Quite honestly, I don't see how that's going to affect it. It only seems to have changed a reset score, which should only happen when it reaches 10. It's funny when you're alone doing it, you just get these things done, and when you start trying to do it live, different ball game. Trying to see what I did before differently. It looks identical now. Let's try and run it and see. I mean, sometimes when you're a beginner, you are just learning one thing, and then you end up scrapping a project, or may end up doing this, start another one off. I mean, we shouldn't have to do that. We should easily be able to. I'll definitely figure out this score before I do that. I went to poke after that. Maybe that's a clue. It went from not to poke. That's mind blowing. Hello Thor, sorry about this. I just bought a new microphone thinking it was an improvement, and I'm testing it out right now. Thank you for telling me. If you're still there, I apologise for it. I'm going to buy a preamp next and some other bits and bobs. But one thing at a time, isn't it? You know, this has just arrived in the post today, so I could try maybe turning the volume up on it. Give me a second. I think it gives a lot of background noise. That's the only problem with that. Let's try that. Is that any better or worse? Yeah, many thanks. Let's see if we can sort out this problem. I may have to end up switching back to my headset mic, which is actually possibly better than this apparently studio mic that I've purchased. I think the easiest way to show you something is to just switch to the other project. Here we have a working example that I wrote, and as you can see, it's basically the same. We don't actually even bother incrementing the ones, but that's no biggie. And if I go to the relative path here, and compile it as a tap bass, oh, it's got an error in it now. I've probably been messing around with it. 165. Oh, eh? Rave.asm. Where is rave.asm? I'd been trying for some reason to load a value with another value, which is impossible. You have to use a register somewhere on every operation. Let's see if that compiles. No. I think I'd got halfway through adding this menu and give up. Strange, I'm sure it was working. Menu initialized. Undefined. Oh, for some reason I commented it out. Simple main isn't. I don't know what I've done to this file, which is a shame. I've got it on GitHub. Obviously changed the name of main, didn't I? Without thinking. Yeah, I know what I did. I split the two mains into road and rave because there's two different levels. Play road and play rave. Let's try that. Oh, hang on. That's just setting the keys. This all worked the other day. This is very annoying. Where did main go? Start new game main. I guess that's probably what I've done. If not, I'll have to, go back. I was only trying to show you something quickly. I just added some sound, like a jingle for game one. This one only just has a sound effect. And then I decided to start another project. Crikey, oh Crikey. 103 road. Did I delete the main or something? I don't know what I did. Yeah, I'd got to the point where I was trying to add like game over and move into the next level, and I just stopped. Now I don't know what I'm doing. It compiled. Alright, here we go. Here's a little game I did make in assembly language. Nicky Goes Raving. It's for a friend of mine with another channel. I'm gonna finish this game off. I am gonna. It might not work because I just mess around with the code, but let's try pressing 1 here. Oh, I really apologise for that sound. It hasn't started the game, so I've completely messed it up. What a shame. I could sit here and debug it, but it's not going to be interesting for you. Let's try and do the one we are actually working on. Got to work out why. Why is it allowing to show ASCII? It should be going up by 1. The reason is, even though it was working on that Nicky game, ASCII is the reason. That's like putting in a decimal value of 48 or OX30. So I could have written that or that. It's both the same thing. That there I defined here as a constant. So if you think about it, score is sitting at 48, but we want to display a value, well, it will display a value of 0. But we check here, is that value 10? Really, it's got to be 10 plus 48, isn't it? But that's not the right way of doing it. Very sad that this is stumping me like this, because I breezed through this on the other game. So we take in the score 1 value, increase it by 1, put it back, check that it is 10. If it is, we increase 10 and we reset this value. We then add the ASCII back on. I know this game doesn't work, but I just want to try and browse that score thing, because somewhere along the line we must be doing a calculation to put it to 0 and then add the ASCII back in every single time. Right, as we see, we've done the same thing. That's all good. It's exactly the same as ours. So is that. Oh, here we go. We've got a separate cache of values there, 16-bit values, because they're going to obviously, I guess, hold. Don't know why have I done a 16-bit value there? I'm sure there's a reason. So you have score amount, that's used for the string, and then score. We're using score in the comparison. And score amount there. Yeah. Right, we've got there. Okay, so if we change these to score, I don't want to. Yeah, score label will be fine. Because that's basically what it is, or it's the value, like the drawn writing of it, the string. So That's fine. And then we'll just above it. I'm doing half the time, look. I don't know, I have no clue why I've done it as a defined word, because it'll never go over the value of 202 or 255, the highest value of a byte. Try it as a byte. Right, now we're cooking. I'll leave that open in case we need to refer back again. But basically we want to add this ASCII. So we want to, what we're doing is we're keeping a score value there, which is going to go up by 1 each time and get incremented and reset according to our logic here. But when we add the ASCII offset, we want to do that to the label. Just going to double check. Yeah, so yeah. Finally, we should now see this working. In fact, let's just try it. I'm going to copy our path and change back to this folder where we're working. I hope that made sense to you. If not, let me know what I just did there. I'm really hoping it would just go up to 1 now when we collect a burger. Yeah, there we go. I haven't filled out the rest, so I'm not going to test when it gets to 9 and 10. We'll do that in a minute. So it was just, you know, it was a case of, if I'm going to be honest with myself and you, it's a case with, I copy and pasted something where I did understand it when I wrote it, but then I tried to copy and paste it without actually following what it was doing, you know, so that's where I've ended up wasting your and my time, but we do learn from it, so it's not a complete waste of time. If you don't understand what I did to fix it and you want to know, leave me a comment. Obviously if you're here live, ask me now, but if you're on YouTube watching this, feel free to comment. I will answer it immediately as soon as I see the message. But I described it at the start of the video. Basically these are sitting at OX 30, so they're always a value of 48. Our calculation there was, you know, it was working on it as if it was 0 to 9, so we needed to have a separate value for each one. It's going to be that straightforward now. I believe that's going to work all the way up to 9999, and obviously if we wanted to add more, it's very much trivial as well. Could go up to 10 million if we wanted, very easily. Just for a few, it would only use a few more bytes. Let's test it out. Compile, run. Let's try and collect 11 of these suckers. like I say, don't expect a fun game for starters. We're just learning collision detection, and we're learning about pointers. We're learning how to handle keyboard input. 1A, so something went wrong. It did increase properly. Didn't reset. And I'm sure that'll be the same when the other one gets to 9. Oh, the other one's not even going to go up, is it? No. No. So, for some reason it's not resetting. Oh, it's probably not resetting these values, is it? I will be going quiet again while I'm going to read it line for line again. I'm going to mute myself as well because I need to do something while I'm doing this. If you haven't worked that out, it's definitely to do with A being destroyed by this function, and then I'm trying to compare using that, say, or the flags actually being destroyed. It's the correct way of putting that. I find it mind-boggling that it works here though, with the same logic. Exactly the same, isn't it? See, actually, it looks like it would work to me. It was meant to go to 0, and instead it incremented and went to the value A, the hex value A, which is 10. But why? It seems as if this wasn't getting called. This is where breakpoints or debugging logs would be superb, because you'd be able to see whether this was getting hit. Or called. But instead we're going to have to come up with some imaginative way to see whether it's getting called. I mean, for example, you could put a sound in here just to beep. But well, we haven't set up any sound for this game, so that's not going to be very easy either. Just out of interest. Let's try this. I also want to speed up the burgers so we don't have to stand there waiting for ages. Speed. 4. speed. Could end up with some graphics glitches now, because that could end up on off screen, but it's only for a test for the score. Huh, can't collect them now. Why are they going up twice? Oh, it reset as well, but it didn't put the other one up now. Okay, hang on. Let's slow that down. That's odd, isn't it? So it's getting incremented twice now. Oof. What have I done here? Obviously now it's probably never reaching 10 for some reason, because that didn't get increased, but we did reset this time. Oh god, I don't know. Delete that. That was just a test. I didn't think it was going to work, but I didn't think that was going to be the result. Strange, it goes up by 1 now. I have to try and figure that out in a minute. One A should have went to 1-0, so that's how back to that same problem. Take the score integer value, increase that by 1. If that equals 10, increase the other integer value next to it and reset this one. Add ASCII 0 so that it shows actual 0 and not a blank space. Hold on. I couldn't do it. I can't. It's not even going up now. Right. Yeah, at this stage I really want to know if this is being called now, because it just looks as if everything's working, but for some reason this is not being called. How though? Of course that's why it went up by 2. It was just, you know, it was incrementing it twice. Paste it in here. Right. I can't adjust the window, it's going to ruin your viewing perspective. So that's the most I can squeeze out of it. see absolutely no difference there now. But it worked in that game. Yeah, thanks for letting me know, Thod. I am going to address it as we go and keep, it's going to take some time, unfortunately. I'm leaning right into it now. What is the background noise like? Because I could actually squeeze more volume out of it, but I feel that the background noise is actually really high at the moment, just by looking at the levels. But aside from that, why are we not resetting when we hit 10? I mean, of course, I don't even know how that worked in my other game, because this comparison, as soon as I call this, it's getting used again, so I of course have to at least push the AF register. Try doing that. I'm really trying to avoid doing this off air and fixing it. Oh. Oh, it just went straight through me. I know how to fix that though. Okay, it's working. Like, did we change anything? That doesn't make sense, does it? I thought we just arrived back where we already have been, but it's definitely working now. Oh, I've done the push and the pop, haven't I? So this one probably won't work. Oh yeah. Oh, of course it's got to get to 9. That's going to take a long time, but I expect it not to work. So if you're still watching and you've managed to bear with me that whole time, congrats to you. You're an absolute legend. But what I've done was I pushed AF to stack, which is a memory location in the form of a stack, and a pile. So it goes one. You can only take the top of the pile away and put it, and you can only add to the top of the pile, if you understand what I mean. So we push AF to stack with the sole purpose, well no, that's not complicated, to save A and F values. If you weren't here when I described it, A is a normal register that we use all the time, and it is good on mathematics as well. It can do a lot more functions than any of the other registers. However, the F, normal registers like B, C, D, E, they're in pairs. You can use them as a 16-bit number. But AF you can't. F is part of the processor, has flags. So there's 8 flags. There's called the C flag, the Z flag. There's some other flags. In fact, I've got my web stuff working now, haven't I? So I'll load it up quickly and show you what I mean by this. It's not very readable, but so I've gone to Z80 Heaven, and I'm using, because we're using the CP, so I'm looking up CP. The first time I ever did it, this is what I did. Tells you here CP is a subtraction from A that doesn't update A, so it doesn't change A, but only the flags it would have set if it was really subtracted. Okay, so in a nutshell, what that means is if a is equal to n, the number you give it, so 10 in our instance, the z flag is set. So z bit equals 1. If it's not equal, z bit will always equal 0. So you can check. The same goes for here. We'll forget signed numbers for now. Don't need them really very often, you know, especially not for beginner level. Don't need it. I have used it before, but and it's not hard at all. But these are much more simple to understand for now. So we'll be using the Z and the C flag only. That's all we need to care about. So anyway, that website I just showed you is absolutely incredible, by the way. So we pushed AF because what happened was we were affecting the flags, and then we were checking again afterwards. Z, is the Z flag set? And we were trying to reset the score based upon that. Well, that had changed. So by popping it, we're actually getting it back from this stage to here. So retrieve AF from stack. You always have to retrieve it in order, otherwise you'll end up with memory holes. Got some spam comment. If I had money to buy followers, I might consider it, but no, I want to improve my content and get it the actual correct way. But thanks for offering, matey. Anyway, I've described what we're doing there. If you do not understand and you're here, yeah, it probably is a bot, mate. Yeah, if at any point you don't understand, or in fact if at any point you want me to try and add something of your choice that's reasonable, we can always do that if you want to sit there together and try that. What I'm going to do now is do that push pop on all of them. And finally we can move past this score, which was meant to take me 2 minutes and it's took me 2 hours. Don't need to worry about it on this one, because we've only got the one comparison. By the way, Thod, I hate to beg, but I would absolutely love a follow, and I do appreciate. I've just noticed you raided me. I haven't set up my notifications correctly yet, but I'll be doing that. It's going to be such a varied channel. I'm going to be I'm up most times of the day and night, so I do work a full-time job, but I do streams in the night time and the daytime. Lots of retro gaming. I'm going to be adding modern gaming soon as well when I've sorted my PC out. At the moment I've got a bit of a shoddy PC. Oh, you're a superstar. I've just noticed it, mate. Thank you for that. It's worth asking, isn't it? You know, you don't ask, you don't get sometimes. So, yeah, I'll leave it at that. I mean, we can test this now, but we've already tested it. We're not going to be going up to 99 score, so we can't really test the next one. We're just going to have to trust it works. The next problem is, as you see, the collision detection is well, unstable, for want of a better word, but I know exactly why that is, I think. So yeah, I'm convinced this is working now, and I'm happy with it. But as you'll see now, if I leave it still, no input, no collision. Input equals collision. So somewhere along the line it's only doing the collision detection whilst we're holding the inputs, and I'm pretty sure that's from where let's delete this. Straight after I fix this, I'm going to split all this up into more files. It's too big, in my opinion. Some people like it all in one file, but not me. We've created a function called, this was done in a previous lesson, check burger collides with player, and that's obviously doing our collision detection. Oh, I'm sad that you can't hear me, man. I am going to improve straight away. You know, as soon as I can get hold of the new equipment, I think I need a preamp, and then that way it won't have any background noise still, but I'll be able to boost the mic only. You know, that's what I hope. I mean, I was advised to buy all this tech here. I've got quite a lot of stuff I've just bought, but sadly, I think it's actually worse than a headset mic. I'm going to lean right into it for you. I'm going to persevere anyway, mate. We've only got about another 10 or 15 minutes of this lesson, assuming that I can get it working. And otherwise, I'll be here for ages trying to do it. But I think we can get this working quickly, and then I'm going to wind it up and come back later. But once again, I appreciate the follow. I'm going to go back and follow you if you've got a channel. Yeah, so here's our collision thing, method or function. I'm going to just copy and paste, find it using the find function. What I've done here is I've called it during the move function, which is obviously for some reason bad. I can't see why it's bad. And what's really annoying about not being able to do it here is I've already done this loop, and these loops slow down the spectrum. What this PC I've got? Well, actually, I had a gaming PC which was absolutely epic. I normally play like Counter-Strike, and I was getting something like 700 FPS, but it got destroyed. Let's just say it, leave it at that. And the graphics card's gone, motherboard's broken. So I have to buy it again, but it's gonna be what best part of £1,000 in it. So I bought one locally for £50. So it's a Dell Optiflex or whatever that's called, Optiplex. It's a very bad PC. I've tried to upgrade it, but obviously it's just a very small PC. The power supply is something like 40 watts. So yeah, but hence I've got back into retro gaming because it runs the retro games perfectly, you know. No, I didn't rage quit. It was more of a domestic situation. I don't want to say too much on air, you know. No criminal activity took place. I'll just clarify that, but yeah, as I was saying, we're already looping, and that is slowing down the specky so much. We've only got three foods, but if we had say 10 all at the same time, our loops are already inadequate. What's happening here is I'm looping several times to spawn each food, then to delete the previous sprite, then to move it, and then to draw it. Well, the problem with that, yeah, you've heard of that. Basically, people smashing my stuff. um, but it's not all one way, you know. I'm not trying to say I'm a complete saint in the situation. Yeah, so we're doing too many loops, and by having to move this one function out, then have to do another loop, which I really don't want to do. And I'm a novice programmer, especially in assembly, so I think that's probably the wrong way of doing it. And we're sort of just blundering here to see, you know, this is like the first steps into assembly language. This video series is. I'm trying to do it live, you know, just to entertain everyone as we go. Hopefully, got to find somewhere to put this one. Oh yeah, for sure we'll be uploading. I mean, this one is going to be so basic that I don't think many people will play it. But I've already made that one that I tried to load up earlier. That's like a Horus Goes Skiing clone, and it's already got the road scene working. and the menu and everything. Maybe we'll address that, you know, when I've got a bit better at the system, at the language. I'll go back and actually fix the issues that I've created with that. But for sure we'll be, I mean, I'm hoping within the space of a year or less, we'll be making some real decent homebrew games, and including for the NES and C64 as well. I'm going to move over to 6502. So I'm really enjoying it. You know, it's totally different to object-oriented program that I'm used to. Normally, going through loops is really trivial, and you know, finding the length of the data is really trivial. On this, you have to do it all differently. So I'm learning every single second that I do it. I really, really want to avoid doing a loop just to check the collision though. I could try just... No, that was the right way of doing it. Because it's checked that it's dead. Well, it's my first on air. That other one that I loaded and it failed to load was my first project. But I've actually... I actually was in a rhythm doing it alone, and I was getting real good progress. I created my own sprite routine, which is here, which actually draws any size of sprite. This is probably where the problem lies in terms of performance, because it would be better to specify the sprite and not go through so many loops, because here I'm checking what is the size of the sprite before I do anything else. But I thought that was I'm quite proud of that. And here I created a thing that well, it says here what it does, but it converts a position into pixel memory location. This I used a lot of help from World of Spectrum or SpectrumComputing.com. Same with that, they go hand in hand. But this is one function here, this whole thing, that I would suggest just using and figuring out later what it does. These are all bitwise operations, which I do understand, but I struggle to explain. And yeah, when I first started, like the first day, these were mind-blowing to me. But eventually I started to just use them just to draw like I'm doing right here now, and then I started to learn more about how it all worked. Yeah, I still run into loads of problems. Yeah, no, the Spectrum, you have to write your own sprite report, sprite support, like I said, and that's actually what I've done here. This is turning pixels into a sprite. Just sort of understand what I mean? Like, it's just dealing with raw pixels on a screen, but the problem is it's not in a grid like you would expect, going from left to right, up to down. It actually goes left to right, and then it skips down 32 lines and goes left to right. It does that, and then it goes all the way to the top, down one, and it's really awkward. But there's whole websites dedicated to that one problem, you know. So that's what got me into it. I was enjoying the challenge. I've done loads of games in Unity and Unreal. Well, not so many in Unreal, but I've done some games in Unreal as well. And obviously they're mind-blowingly good. But they weren't. I didn't feel the same achievement that I did when I got the assembly games working. I really don't want to loop. I'm going to have to. Just copied it. No, I can't just do that. I mean, this is a long shot, but doing it one frame at like a tiny bit earlier might actually be all it needs. help. Oh, I might have to just do what I really don't want to and do a new loop for this. It would be superb to have someone come in who can help us out as well, you know, some ideas. Again, this is kind of annoying because I on the other game I created, I did the collision detection and I got it working nice and quick, and that's what made me think, you know what, I could do this live, you know, it's not taking too long to figure out each problem, but once you do it live, for some reason your brain doesn't work in the same way, you know, so I'm really struggling. But I think it's the same even with gameplay videos. You end up playing the game worse than you would if you were just alone. And it's just the way it is. But I mean, I checked Burger Spot, it's very straightforward. It just adds the width together and it expects the burger in IX. So I thought all I was doing was making sure there was a burger in IX. Hence the loop. Ah, come on. There we go. I'm going to bite the bullet and just make a new loop. CP255 is comparing, I don't think you would have seen my other lesson, where this is another way I created myself of how to loop through arrays in assembly without knowing in advance how many data elements there are in the array. Because if you hit 255, as long as I don't use 255 on any of them first values, I just check that the first value is 255 and then therefore I am at the end of the array. I thought that was quite smart. So that's what I've done there. I've just checked, are we at the end of the array, and if we are, exit this loop. If we're not, oh, I hate this autocorrect on VS Code. And if we're not at the end, check to see if it is dead. And we can return. There it is. This will have inputs. IX equals food data pointer. IY equals player data pointer. I mean, like I say, this is my first program in assembly, but I have done quite a lot of C++ and C# and Java over the many years, you know, just as a hobby. So I know roughly, you know, I have some idea of how code is put together. I've always tried to avoid using game engines as well, where possible. I've chosen code over that a lot of the time. So, are we at the end of array? Return. Are we dead? Return. If not, call check burger collision player. As long as IY points at the player and IX points at the first food there. Oh, of course we need to move to the next food. So if it's dead, collision, go to next. I keep calling it burger and sometimes food, which is really stupid, but load BC, food data length. Now the reason for that is so that we can just add that amount to IX. You can't do a 16-bit, IX is a 16-bit register, so I couldn't load A with that value and then add it to IX because that's impossible. So I've just loaded it with BC to BC. Therefore BC has been destroyed in this function, so really I should take a note of that, but and jump back to the start. Oh no, not that one. Oh, just to be straightforward, I'll call it a loop, so I don't keep doing that same mistake that I just did. Yeah, there's no return statement in this because we're going to actually loop continually until we find that 255 and then we return. Normally you'd have to have a return somewhere. Same goes for all M. Check burger collisions loop. In fact, I'm going to call this do burger collisions loop. That seems okay. So now I've just got to make sure IX is food and IY is the player pointer. And figure out what point in the program that I want to check for collision. I think, as I say, this is going to slow down my program even more. Okay, let's try that. And the lesson's got a bit long. I think it's going to have to be called a day after this. Oh, well, let's get it to at least compiled. Error 186. I'm stupid. There we go. I'm used to being able to refactor or refactor, whatever it's called, where you just do Control R and change some names, but there we go, compiled. Oh, and we've got a major problem. I just wonder if it's something to do with the IY, because I think that's the only thing that's different from the way I did this before. I had IY as the enemy, and then IX as the player. Well, it's got the screen went black. Let's try commenting these out. see whether that does fix it. And yes, it does. What about if I put just these two? Oh. That's what's causing it. Nothing to do with our function. I don't quite know why, but test it like that. And it works. Come on. It still doesn't work when we're not moving. So I believe that the way I had it before, without this loop, was fine, but for some reason you have to be moving for this logic to work. So I'm going to delete everything I just done. Oh. It's still in there. I think when I come back, I will have actually done some work off air, because I'm going to try and figure out a way to not use IY. We'll get a black screen. I don't know why. Clearly something to do with the drawing code, but I don't even use IY so in drawing code, so I have to do some reading about that. I don't actually have a clue. I mean, we clearly see that if I push IY and pop it, it fixes it. Oh, what a shame. Oh. I'm a madman. See, at this stage here, IX is the food and it's getting moved down, so that's only when it's alive. So it's the most efficient way of doing it, is just call out from here. But I mean, in a real, I want to say AAA, but in a modern programming game, you basically add the speed to move it, or the velocity that you've calculated, but what you do is you check for a collision before you set the new position. So you set a new position, but it's a cache, it's not real, and then you check collision on that cached version or the new version. If there is no collision, then you allow it to be moved there the very next frame. That's how you do a really good collision detection on modern games. But I don't want to be doing that on this. I just want to. If you wanted to do that, you could do that in here, couldn't you? You know, it's adding the speed right there, and then it sets it there. Well, it gets to, yeah, somewhere in between them two. I still don't think this is going to work. No. Oh, that one did. What? Wait. Very odd. It seems to be working, but intermittently not working. Let's just try giving a speed of 1 pixel only, so there's no chance of them sort of missing. Although I don't see how they can miss. My sprites are 16 height, or no, they're actually 8 height. And then on the collision detection we say player X plus width food X. So if A is less than L, then we know we're past him on the left side and we return. Don't even think that's needed, but NC means larger than or equal to. Just want to see if I can get that out of the way. wanted to make that clear. It was an L, but there's too many of them. This is all correct so far. I'm really checking it slowly. Food Y value plus food height. Player Y value returns C. Ah, it's correct. No matter how many times I think about that, it seems correct to me. If you study this web page, I'll show you it one more time. Just so you can see what it is. But here's the flags that I'm talking about, and the comments in this code here make it even more clear and easy to visualize. This bottom one here, for example, is saying if food Y plus food height, so we're looking at the bottom edge of the food, and then we're loading that player Y, which is the top left hand corner or the top edge of the player. Compare the two. Wait. Yeah, so food height's in A. If that is less than, C flag is set. If that is less than the player's top edge, it's not a collision. So that's correct. We're returning. I've checked it 3 times. Well, at least we got to the bottom of the score. I can't imagine why the collision's not been triggered there. I'm going to try and make my sprite bigger. Imagine that being 4x4. It's only for testing. This is what I hate about assembly language. Now we have to remember all the places where we need to change the data. Width in cells is 4. Width in pixels 32. Maybe that was all I needed to change. No, it wasn't, but let's see if it collides. Yeah, it does. It's something to do with it being so small, I believe. No, yeah, see, it got part into the sprite and then it collided, which is fine, but when it was so small, it just went straight through it. I've obviously missed some silly thing here as well. Lines. No. Oh, that was on the food. Oh, you silly boy. Lines, because it looks like it's all them, but you imagine them two has moved over to here. Doesn't actually matter at all. If you look, it's not going to look very good. It's a test. Yeah, that's what I was, a bit more what I was expecting. Still not quite right. I've just missed some of the values out. See, it goes partly into it. In fact, it went all the way through it. I don't know now. Oh, apologise for that. I'm just going to go back and undo all them changes. Mind blowing. More work for me to do. Because why is it when we move it works? It's completely mind-boggling. Well, that's one for next time. Either I'm going to come back on later tonight, so I don't know whether to fix this off air and then just show you how I fixed it, or come back and we'll try and do it. I guess I'll have to figure that one out as well while I'm thinking about it, but let's try and understand why it's not colliding. And then it does there. It's very, very odd. Who knows? Who knows? It's been good to explore into assembly. I don't know if it's something I will, study for many, many months. And I might move into 6502 soon and see whether that's any different. Some Nintendo Entertainment System homebrew would be an absolute dream come true, so might see some of that coming in later weeks. Thank you again for watching. I've overrun by quite some time. Really not happy with myself for this particular lesson. We've struggled a bit, but I think there has been some value to it, seeing the trial and error. So we'll get this sorted by the next lesson without fail. Anyway, good to speak to you all. Thank you.